Greetings, my name is Josh and I'm a fitness, sports and recreation instructor with PSP here at the Halifax Dockyard. Today I'm going to be doing a workshop on the prevention of running injuries, and this is a summary of what I've learned at the Running Clinics 1.0 course, the introductory course that we did in June with instructors Jean-Francois Esculier and Remy Bergeron. Today I'm going to cover mechanical stress, the minimalist index as relates to our running footwear. We'll get into running progressions, so we're not just going to start running 10K, we're going to get there gradually and talk about how to do that. Cadence is going to be a feature, as well as landing lightly. If we do get injured, there's a new acronym to replace RICE, and that is peace and love, and we'll note the changes there, as well as we'll talk about the warm-up, the importance of that, and a couple of examples, some core movements, stretches, all relating to running performance and staying injury-free. Let's start with mechanical stress. So the team with the Running Clinic has basically designed a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is things like water, running, and swimming. And on the other end of the scale, we have a 10, which is your plyometrics, your sprints, your barbell cleans, things of this explosive nature, okay? And in the middle somewhere, you have your long, slow distance mechanical stress, which would be about a 5 out of 10. Traditionally, we have an overly passive and protective method of dealing with injuries. So, you're going to see physio, and I've done it myself, and you're getting a TENS unit, a heat pack, and that kind of thing. What we need to do more of is get into an active approach to recovery. Tissues need an applied load to stay strong and healthy. Mechanical stress is accumulative and comes from the sport in question, work, and daily living activity. The body will adapt as long as the stress is not bigger than the body's ability to do so. So we could under stress, so we're not stimulating the body enough to adapt. But if we do too much, or if we redline, to use Bergeron's words, then we're going to end up with pain during the run, pain after, and excessive soreness the following couple of days. So we want to avoid that. We want to find the sweet spot where our body is adapting well to the stresses. The minimalist index. So the minimalist index is a number out of 5, and there are 5 components. A 5 out of 5 would be your Vibram 5 fingers, so very much natural type movement. And on the other side, you have your heavy Asics, long, slow distance runners, your New Balance, and so on and so forth. That would be, on the other hand, a 1 out of 5. So there's 5 components to this. Weight, the lighter, the higher score. Stack height, or the thickness of the sole, less of that is a higher score. Heel to toe drop, okay, so the difference from the heel to the toe, less difference equals a higher score. Motion control and stability technology, so things like fancy arch support and so on. More of that technology equals a lesser score, so less of it is a higher score. And flexibility, so the amount a shoe can twist or fold and roll in on itself. The more flexible, the higher the score. So essentially, a shoe that is closest to natural is best for performance, and the foot is able to develop in nuanced ways. One of the biggest predictors of an injury is a drastic change to one's running routine. So going from a heavily protected long distance shoe, for example, right to a 5 out of 5 minimalist shoe. Too much too soon, and we can hurt the tissues and end up injured. So our changes should be maybe 10% at a time, possibly 20 depending on some of the personal factors of the individual and the goals involved. Far too often will avoid running for say 30 days and then all of a sudden think it's a good idea to go run steady state for 30 or 60 minutes. It's a good way to get injured. So rather, the running clinic has a progression for return to run, as well as performance plans for things like 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon, and ultra trail. I've chosen to talk about kind of a return to run interval program 2. So middle of the road, not for the extreme beginner or the elite athlete who's returning. So kind of like your average person who has some experience. So each workout would basically start with a 5-minute walk and end with a 5-minute walk. And in the middle, or the body of the workout, you have some intervals. Week 1, for an example, on program 2 would be you're going to run for a minute, walk for a minute, and you're going to do that times 5 for a total of 10 minutes of the body of the workout. And then it increases by 5 minutes until you're done week 1. Week 2 stays at about 20 or 30 minutes of work, but now we're going 2 minutes run, 1 minute walk, and getting the work in there. Week 3, you're going the same thing, but now we're basically more time running before we have less of a walk, until the last workout of week 3 is 30 minutes nonstop. If you want to get some running progressions, just talk to the PSP staff. We'd be happy to forward you some of those programs and explain how that works. Cadence is a really important factor when we're trying to perform and stay healthy as a runner. And so what is cadence? Cadence is strides per minute. So how many steps we take per minute. And basically the desired range to prevent injuries is 170 to 190 range. So the average is 180 strides per minute. And you can find out where you're at and move towards that. Remember, 10% at a time, so we don't change too much too soon. The average person is running at about a 155 strides per minute. Okay, so you could time yourself for 15 seconds and count your strides and multiply that by 4. You could use a metronome and simply see what's comfortable and where you're at. So you have different options to get there. You also want to land lightly, okay? Land lightly, and with that higher index of cadence, you're going to basically just run on the road or the surface, kind of like it's a hot surface. You're not lingering, you're not lumbering. It's nice quick steps, nice and light landing. If we do get injured, moving on to how to deal with that, instead of rest, immobilize, cold, elevate, or the RICE acronym, the running clinic has adopted the Peace and Love acronym. So P, protection. Avoid activities and movements that increase pain during the first few days after an injury. Okay, so we don't want to protect too much, but in the acute phases, that will be important. Elevation. Okay, so peace and love. Elevation is the E. We can elevate the injured limb above the heart as often as possible. A, avoid anti-inflammatories. Essentially, they reduce tissue healing and some of the body's natural feedback. So let's do that. Avoid ice. Compression, so we could use elastic bandages, that kind of stuff right away when things happen. And the E is education. So your body knows best. Avoid unnecessary passive treatments and medical investigation, and let nature play its role. Okay? I think education also involves knowledge of cadence, your footwear, running progressions. Okay? And then love. So L in the love part of the acronym would be load. Let pain guide your gradual return to normal activities. You do want to add mechanical stress or load. It just needs to be progressive so we don't do too much too soon. The main theme with preventing injuries here. O, optimism. Condition your brain for optimal recovery by being confident and positive. V, vascularization. Choose pain-free cardiovascular activities to increase blood flow to the tissues in question, or the damaged tissues. So if we have something going on in the lower leg, well, some light cycling, some water running, these are things that can vascularize those tissues without furthering the injury. And E, exercise. Restore mobility, strength, and proprioception by adopting an active approach to recovery. Okay, we can't just lie in bed. That might be okay for the first little bit, but then when we can start moving, we should do so progressively. Moving on to the warm-up. So with the warm-up, we want to do some light cardio, okay, so some very light jogging, let's say. Then maybe your dynamic stuff, okay, getting the shoulders loose and things, but we're not going to focus on that. The things to focus on would be ballistic stretches like your front and side leg swings and your A-B type drills. Okay, so once you got your light jogging in and you did some of your arm circles and maybe some of your hip movements, some of your lower impact stuff, then some ballistic movements like a front leg swing could be handy. Keeping a hand down, opposite leg straight, just swinging the leg like so. You don't have to go too crazy with this one. I see people swinging as high as they can, and we could get injured doing that in the warm-up. So let's avoid that. It'd be nice to hold on to something like a wall in front of you, but if you could also do a side leg swing, so taking the leg here and just swinging the leg to the side. The structure makes this easier, and just go nice and easy. Keep that toe pointed forward so we're stretching the inside of the leg on that one. And what are the A-B drills? So you have like a knee drive type of exercise, all right? We're just driving the knee. And then that's the A drill. And then B is just this. Okay, getting the heels towards the hips. And we'll leave it there. Moving into core, I just wanted to pick two moves. For sit-ups, there's a nice modification we can do. One leg is straight, one is bent. We can slide the hands underneath the curve of the lumbar spine. Okay, and all we're going to do is an isometric approach. So we're going to breathe in, core's tight, exhale, just coming up like so, holding for 10 seconds. Okay, and relax. And you would do the other side the same way. Just switch the feet, hands run to the lower back, tighten up, breathe in. Exhale, keeping that spine straight. Okay, so that's one way to improve core activation and preparation, right? Also, let's go over Superman, okay, for the lower back. And I just like the suggestions here for modifications. Okay, so we can make sure you're facing the ground so your neck is straight. You could lift one arm at a time. Like lift one arm and hold for 10 seconds, switch. One leg and switch, or alternate. So you're holding one up and the other for 10 seconds, and then we're going to switch. Okay, and essentially you can just program that. Like maybe you're just getting into running. You could do one of each for 10 seconds, and then week 2, 2 of each, and maybe you top out at something like 3 of each, right? We don't have to go too crazy here, but it is important to get that component in. For running stretches, there's a couple of ones I want to focus on. One for the iliac psoas, so the hip flexors. So for that, we can take a knee, post up here, up nice and tall, breathe in. Exhale as we just lean forward, core's tight. Okay, holding this for 30 seconds. And then you would switch, Hold the other side for 30 seconds. And this is, the next one I'm going to show you is a simple glute stretch, but I tried it, it feels good. You're just going to sit with one leg straight like this. The other comes over top. And then all we're going to do is sit tall, core's tight, and just bringing that knee towards the opposite shoulder. So just holding on like so. You can pull with one hand and have your hand down here, or just brace yourself with your core and use both hands. Okay, and then we would switch. Other side, come on over. Flex the toes towards the shin. Up tall, breathe in, tight core. Exhale as we pull that knee towards the opposite shoulder. So, I know that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more to it. Okay? It's been fun. Contact the PSP office for documents that we can send to you via email or in person. We can show you some of this stuff. Possibly do a gait analysis just to see how you're landing and see if that's efficient. Based on that, enjoy the rest of your day. It has been an honor, and take care. I'll see you next time.